This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Very pleasant good morning. It is 10:06 on the East Coast, 7:06 in Las Vegas, where Mike King is sitting in the palatial palace of the Princeton Research Building in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, Charles Moskowitz sitting there looking out on the old Cape Cod, and they are both contemplating their Alibabas. Hey, good morning, guys.
How are you?
I think the big news, it's all over everything. I mean, whether it's Market Watch and whatever, whenever you get Jack Na talking about the possibility of Apple and Alibaba merging, that seems, like a home run. It's everybody's lead story this morning, huh?
Because Apple's already the biggest company in the world, over $600 billion. Imagine what that would do.
Wow. Well, it certainly opens up China.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, boy! I'll tell you, it's that would be insane. But you know what I like about the Jack Na? I've seen him a couple times now. He's having fun. It's he reminds me a little of Steve Ballmer. Yeah, obviously a lot more quiet, but that's. By the way, guys, did you happen to see that story on Steve Ballmer, where he's now laughing all his way because of apparently there's an IRS code for sports owners, which I didn't know anything about, that was passed in the 80s. And in reality, he's going to be getting tax write-offs for the next 15 years. So in reality, instead of $2 billion,
team cost him half.
Yeah, he's only going to wind up paying $1 billion for a team that's worth twice that much.
Well,
it's
maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Well, I know. Yeah, but still,
but it certainly makes his $2 billion deal that now only costs him $1 billion. In the ballpark of what other teams are. I mean, the next highest bid from his originally was $1.3 billion.
Right.
So if he's buying it for essentially $1 billion, really cash out of pocket at the end of the day, he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, say the least.
And frankly, that market is a little messed up right now. I mean, the Lakers are absolutely in a rebuilding year. It's one of the Southern California teams.
Yeah, but just look at it this way, Charles. That television deal that they signed just a couple weeks ago for billions of dollars, 24 to be exact, with TNT and ESPN is outrageous. I mean, that is just, it's amazing. Well, let's talk about banks a little bit. I know you guys are constantly talking about, the ETFs here locally, but apparently, according to Bloomberg, Wilbur Ross, who is a U.S. billionaire who invests in a lot of the Euro banks, says we got a lot of work to do in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
105 out of the
130
130
of the banks failed the stress test.
Yeah. But
I think the stress tests are highly overrated. And really extreme in what their scenarios are. 60% decline in the market and, 4 years of recession and runs on the bank. It's never happened. Doesn't mean it can't.
Right.
But it's still moderately unlikely. In the meantime, the banks were up on the news.
Yeah. That's what's amazing to me. I just don't understand a lot of this stuff. It's you can read it and just kind of shake your head sometimes. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm glad my mother was not alive to see this. She was a lifelong employee of Sears, and apparently they made yet another announcement that they're going to have a minimum of 5,500 layoffs at 132 facilities. They're closing another 100, and then lay off another 7,000 on top of that. Yikes.
Well, Eddie Lambert was really, really smart. It was primarily a real estate play when he got involved in Sears, and then it was more of a real estate play when you took Kmart into it. Now he's sold off most of the private label stuff, but there's still a big short position in the stock, and it's moved back from 20 to 40, and frankly, it's probably a short right where it is. I mean, it's not really a retailing story anymore, and you could run a bowling ball through most of those stores and nobody would notice.
Speaking of shorts, the low oil prices really helped DuPont, and you benefited from that. You've been buying DuPont now for 3 weeks, and DuPont's done very well with the lower oil price. Well, so did Sherwin-Williams, but Sherwin-Williams stock skyrocketed well before DuPont's.
Right.
So DuPont is a lot lower than Sherwin-Williams, relatively.
And the position that we have on, we sold half the position on the 100% up rule plus a gap, so we actually got about 109% profit on it. So we don't have any, we don't have any money in the trade, which is what the 100% up rule is all about.
Probably the correct trade is to be long DuPont, short Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams put in a four-legged Gann top, and it's been going up forever, for a year.
Right.
So it may be overdone. And their earnings came out today, along with DuPont's, and their top line was not good. You can look at Sherwin-Williams' top line growth.
Yeah. In the meantime, we bought the Boeing again on a pullback, and it's breaking out right now. It looks to me like 126 or 128 anyway, and we bought the 123 calls for I think $1.57 yesterday, and they're 194 or 191 right now, and they look like they're just getting ready to go. We bought the Polypore options, the November 40s at $1.95 yesterday. They're $2.35. We haven't bought the TJXs back, but in the big account, we also bought back something that I traded last week called MedBox, which is a biometric distribution system for pharmacies where, they also look at your, for example, my CVS card, and, you go to pick up a prescription or something, but it sends you a text first and says, you haven't bought any new Fusion blades in 3 months. Would you like it? And it goes into the box also. In any event.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great one. I mean,
man.
that's what that marketing is all about.
Oh, yeah.
So we had 400 at $9.32 that we sold at $11.44 last week.
Yeah.
And I bought it back at $11.68 yesterday, and today we're $12.85 again. It's a very thin stock, but we trade 400 this time. We're trading 500, so we're on a fairly decent run here. We added to the Apple at 96 and change. It's 106.17.
You've traded the Apple fantastically for a year. You've really been right on with the Apple.
In any event, so, we're up again this morning, and the consumer confidence came out really big, I think 94%, up from 89.4 last month. I think the durable goods orders came in okay. Also, aircraft, which is what the Boeing deal is all about. I mean, I just can't, it's really hard to look at a company that has, a 12 or 15-year backlog of orders and not see the potential in it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned Boeing, Charles. Dennis Gartman, did you see him on CNBC?
I did not. I really like him, though.
Oh, he's amazing. I was watching this early this morning, and he is now saying that crude oil is going to be going the way of whale oil in the first part of the 20th century. And speaking of aircraft companies, he was talking about Lockheed Martin, who is developing a compact fusion reactor.
Oh, I saw that.
Which is going to
We've
revolutionize.
been talking about that for a week or two.
Yep, which is going to revolutionize the nuclear business for the next 150 years, he said. And apparently Lockheed Martin is maybe 10 years away from this. That would be amazing. And can you imagine if you could just have these cylinders, and there's no waste apparently with this stuff, that, you just stick into a power plant, forget about oil, you don't need it.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it sounds amazing. But anyway, Lockheed Martin is doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago that Paul Brown developed something similar to that in a company called Nuclear Solutions.
Really?
Unfortunately, he was a race car driver on the side, and he had an unfortunate accident and died in the crash.
Oh, boy.
That was about 5 years ago. But he had built a company called Nuclear Solutions with that very same technology. So the technology is coming. There's no question about it.
Wow. I mean, it just sounds so amazing. But, you think, okay, well, Lockheed Martin, has the horses to do that and develop it. I mean, you think, wow. But that could be yet another total revolution in the way we get power, That's amazing. Well, up my alley, guys. Oh, wait a minute. We got to get to this because this other story is right up Charles's alley because, he's one of these coach people that, I mean,
and I hate the stock. I just hate the stock.
Even coaches doing better.
Yeah.
Well,
their earnings are
$3.
better. The stock is not doing well, but the earnings and top line and bottom line growth beat for a change.
9%.
The stock is still lower.
What's kind of interesting is that there was another stock, and I looked at both of them over the weekend. I looked at Coach, which I've wanted to be short since, 38 or 39. And there's another stock that I kind of like on the long side that's sort of in the same business. But I really have a hard time with it because I think their product is, somewhat questionable, both quality and quantity-wise. But Fossil, F-O-S-L, it's trading around 100. The stock looks really interesting to me, and they make the watches for half a dozen of the big retail names. For example, they make the watches for Michael Kors, which has been setting the world on fire now for 3 years. I mean, the stock has done nothing but go higher and higher and higher. And so Fossil has these freestanding stores in some of the outlet malls, the premium outlet malls.
Really? I've never heard of them.
And they, like I said, they private label most of their stuff.
Watches.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
okay.
And for the biggest of names, the stock, like I said, is about 100. It looks to me like if it breaks out above about 102, 103, it's probably going to move back towards its highs, which you'll be surprised to know the most recent highs are in the 110 area, After that, it's about 130. And after that, it's around 140.
Really?
This is a stock that in 2010 went from the mid-30s through, had a one-year run from the mid-30s to 100, and let's just see what the actual number is. The actual number is 135.
Wow.
Yeah, in 1 year of trading. I mean, I'm looking at the weekly chart, and it looks to me like it breaks out right here. The first stop is, 110, 112, which is a fairly decent move. And frankly, it worked its way back down to its rising 200-day moving average, which should be support. But more importantly, it's also coming into their time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday time.
Sure.
Where people go to these outlet malls and buy all their gifts.
Of course, I bought my Rolex on the streets of New York.
I bought one of those
$10
on 38th Street once.
I almost died when I saw that. I'm going, what? You got to be kidding. Because I thought Rolex. And then you look closely. It's so funny. It's like, oh, my goodness. Welcome to New York. Ah, yes. Hey, speaking of New York, how about Madison Square Garden?
Yes, splitting the businesses.
Ooh, my. And I guess their stock is going right through the roof of
I
MSG.
used to watch that stock. The symbol is MSG, and it was $5. It was $8. It went up to 12. It came back down to 6. Like another New York institution, Nathan's.
Yep.
Nathan's famous. The hot dogs, same kind of thing. I mean, these two stocks sat forever and did nothing.
Yeah.
And then they went on extended 3 and 4 year, runs to the upside. Nathan's went up 10 times. Madison Square Garden went up 20 times.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, those are the ones that we look for, the ones with the long bases, the ones that people relate to. Everybody knows Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so apparently...
Everybody in the East knows Nathan's hot dogs.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I have to jump off.
Okay.
Have a good day. I know Mike has a pretty strong guest that we've had on before.
Yep. We've
so
got
I will
Labor
be
Smart.
back next week.
Labor Smart.
Yep,
Very
Labor
good.
Smart will
Thanks so
be
much.
coming in. And Michael, I guess congratulations go to a company you are very familiar with, Toyota. They are now the top-selling vehicle in the world, and closely followed by Volkswagen. General Motors slipping to third. Wow. That's kind of interesting.
Well, GM still had better earnings, top line and bottom line.
Yes, they did. They had their best, third quarter, right?
Considering all the buybacks
Yep.
and all of the problems they had. It's amazing the money they had to spend, and they're still spending on lawsuits.
Oh, yeah. You bet. Well, and now you've got all these, the other lawsuits going with the airbags. So, that's a separate company, but, it's yet another problem. You just kind of shake your head and go crazy, We are still getting reaction here locally about Cleveland Bioscience from last week, and it's very funny where I guess I was watching Fox News over the weekend, and they were talking about ideally someday down the road of having a vaccine that a child could take that could prevent cancer. Said just exactly what she was talking about.
It's a 2-in-1, and not only cancer, but also the nuclear radiation problem.
Exactly.
It's a 2-in-1 possibility. But the Russians have invested $23 million in that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an example of working together with Russia.
Sure.
Can you imagine that?
Well, yeah. Science knows no boundaries. It really doesn't if you really think about it. And of course the folks at Cleveland Bioscience just seem to be light years ahead of a lot of people. It's just absolutely phenomenal. you look at a lot of things that have happened this week. The energy is selling off. Energy stocks seem to be selling off. But, the biosciences, I mean, it's just kind of, they're just sort of there. I mean, allergen was up and then it's down.
But energy prices are still at a very healthy price.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, $80, like Target Energy, for example, have a listing price between $15 and $20.
Right.
I mean, $80 is not bad.
Right.
It's not you don't have to shed a tear for them.
Right. Yeah, I think they were saying, 30 is like their, is where you get a little nervous. So there's still a long way from that. But, by the way, what's your gas prices now in Las Vegas? Ours are under $3 here, a gallon.
Yeah, we're right there.
You're right there? Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's where you start thinking, you have to wonder what's going to happen to the U.S. economy. If the gas prices keep falling, are we going to be able to buy more cars? Are we going to, have a good Christmas? I mean, who knows? It's just one of those things. But,
well, it looks like a really good Christmas coming along. And the reason is, if you look at retail spending, it had been in the doldrums for several months.
Yes.
Retail spending in June and July was very low relative to previous years. And September wasn't anything great. And so I think there's a lot of pent-up demand for the holiday season, which is coming right upon us. I think it's going to be a good holiday season. And even though Coach prices are down, Coach has had a really tough time for the last year and a half. But then now they just beat on top and bottom line earnings. They just came out this morning. And Coach is that real high-priced handbag.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, you start looking at stuff like that, and then, of course, we're going to be pushing the other technology thing, which is going to be smart tablets, smartphones, and with the Watch WPSL, it's going to be coming first quarter. We're going to be with HBO and CBS. Not bad household names in this whole new technology, and it's going to be very interesting to see. What is also very interesting to watch, Michael, is that right now, Americans have launched 38.2 billion video starts. That means whether it's a movie or whether it's television, there are 38.2 billion starts. And of those 38 billion, 47% actually finished